Hey, this is Eugene, and welcome to part 3 in our series of Music Theory Made Easy. Now, before we go into our next session, let's recap a little bit on what we talked about the last time we were together. Now, we talked about note and note values. So, I got my little chart here. So, what I want to do is just hold it up so you can see the whole note gets 4 beats. The half note gets 2 beats. The quarter note gets 1 beat, the eighth note gets a half beat, and the 16th note gets 1/16 beat. One more time. The whole note gets 4 beats, the half note gets 2 beats, the quarter note gets 1 beat, the eighth note gets a half beat, and the 16th note gets 1/16 beat. Now that's what we talked about last week. Now, dealing with the 16th note, we'll get to that when we get into rhythms, and I'll show you how it really works with the 16th note. But today, what we want to do is we want to start with time signatures. We want to start with time signatures today. Now, the time signature is just that. It tells you how many beats in a measure. Now, if you remember when we talked about a measure, the measure is the space in between 2 bar lines. Remember, the measure is the space in between 2 bar lines. So, the time signature basically deals with the time or the beats within a measure and what note gets what value. One more time. The time signature deals with how many beats in a measure and what notes get what value. Now, let's look up here. We're going to start with the common time signatures, because there are others that can be a little tricky, and we'll get to those in a bit. Now, we're going to start with the most common ones is 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4. Okay? You've got 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4. Now, I hope you got your pencils and your paper out, because I have to explain to you what the 2/4, the 3/4, the 4/4, what that's all about. Now, in 2/4, well, let's say the top numbers. It could be 2/4, 3/4, 5/4, 6/4, 8/4. It could be 10/4. Okay? That top number means how many beats in a measure. One more time. That top number means how many beats in a measure. So if we're in 2/4 time, then there's 2 beats in a measure. If we're in 3/4 time, then there's 3 beats in a measure. And if we're in 4/4 time, then there's 4 beats to a measure. So one more time, the top number means that how many beats there are in a measure. I'm going to say it again. The top number means how many beats there are in a measure. Now, here we go. The bottom number, as long as there's a 4, it could be 10/4. But as long as there's a 4 at the bottom, as long as that bottom number is a 4, then that tells me that each quarter note is going to get 1 beat. Okay, one more time. The 4 at the bottom, as long as there's a 4 at the bottom, that means that each quarter note will get 1 beat. Okay? Each quarter note will get 1 beat. Let's recap it. The top number, how many beats in a measure? The bottom number, which is a 4 in this case, means that the quarter note will get 1 beat. Now remember we said in the offset, in the beginning rather, that the whole note gets 4 beats, half note gets 2, the quarter note gets 1 beat. So therefore, when I see this 4 at the bottom of the time signature, that tells me that the quarter note in these cases will get 1 beat. Now I know I keep repeating it, but I need you to get it. I need you to put it up here in your computer, in your laptop up here. Put it up here, all right? the top number means how many beats in a measure. And remember we said the measure is the space in between two bar lines. So the top number means how many beats in a measure. The bottom number, in this case, which is a 4, means that the quarter note will get 1 beat. You have to remember that. The 4 at the bottom of a time signature means that the quarter note will get 1 beat. Now, there is a time signature where it actually changes, okay? And I'm just going to briefly go into that. We'll have to go into that more in depth a little later. And that is 6/8 time. That's 6/8 time. Now, a lot of your waltzes, like the Blue Danube or other waltzes, is done in 3/4 or 6/8 time. Okay, da 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 da, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, or da da da, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right. If it's just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, then it's 3/4 time. Okay. If it's just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, it's 3/4 times. So that's 3 beats in a measure. Remember I told you that 4 at the bottom says that there's what? Not 4 beats, but the quarter note gets 1 beat, all right? So you got 3 beats in a measure. The quarter note gets 1 beat. But now in 6/8 time, you got a kind of a different story going on there. You still got 6 beats in a measure. No matter what the time signature is, that top number is always going to mean how many beats. It's always going to tell you, rather, how many beats there are in a measure. Always going to tell you how many beats there are in a measure. But in this case, the 8 at the bottom of this time signature is going to tell me something different. Okay? It's going to tell me something different. In this case, the 8 at the bottom tells me this, that the 8th note, remember the 8th note, shaded in, stem with a flag, that tells me that the 8th note is going to get 1 beat or count. Okay? So the 8 at the bottom tells me that the 8th note is going to get 1 beat. All right? That's telling me that the 8th note is going to get 1 beat. So, but we're going to get more into 6/8 time, 2/2 time, or cut time, and all of that a little later. But the basics that I want you to remember is this. In your time signatures, the top number of the time signature tells you how many beats there are in a measure. Remember, the time signature tells you how many beats there are in a measure. If you got 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, that bottom 4 tells you that the quarter note is going to get 1 beat. All right? That 4 at the bottom, like I said before, it could be 24. It could be 15/4. As long as there's a 4 at the bottom, that means that your quarter note is only going to get 1 beat. Now, we dealt with 6/8 time, and I hope you're writing this down. We dealt with 6/8 time. You still got 6 beats in a measure. That top number is always going to mean how many beats in a measure. But then if you look at that 8 at the bottom, that 8 at the bottom tells me that the 8th note is going to get 1 beat. Okay, like I said, we'll get into the other time signatures a little later. Okay, you got it? You got it? I'm going to say it one more time, all right? In your time signatures, your top number tells you how many beats there are in a measure. If there is a 4 at the bottom of your time signature, that tells you that a quarter note gets 1 beat. Okay? A 4 at the bottom tells you that a quarter note gets 1 beat. And in the 6/8 time, you still have 6 beats in a measure. But then that 8 at the bottom tells me that the 8th note gets 1 beat. All right? And we're going to go into that a little bit later. So what I want to do now is, oh, here's my eraser. What I want to do now is, let's do a little rhythm dealing with the time signatures. And that's when we're going to get into trying to deal with the 16th notes. All right. Just a little bit for today, and we'll continue a little later. All right. Let me erase this. All right. We're going to start with one of the most common time signatures there's are. Ooh, bad English. There is. And that's 4/4 time. Okay, we're going to start with 4/4 time. Okay. 4/4 time. Now in this means that top number means that there are 4 beats in the measure, and the bottom number tells me that the quarter note gets 1 beat. Top 4 says 4 beats in the measure. Bottom 4 says that the quarter note gets 1 beat. So let's put a little rhythm up here to see what we're talking about. All right. So in this, let's see. Now, I want you to look at this rhythm I put up here. Remember what I said now. The top number means 4 beats in a measure. That means the measure is what? The space in between 2 bar lines. All right, this is your first measure, your bar line. This is your second measure and your bar line. So these spaces is called a measure. Now in this particular measure, I have 4 quarter notes. Okay, I have 4 quarter notes. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 beats in that measure. Why? Because each quarter note gets 1 beat. Okay, so that if each quarter note gets 1 beat, then that gives me 4 beats in this measure. Okay, everybody got it? That gives me 4 beats in this measure. Now in the second measure, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I still have 4 beats in this measure. Why? Because a half note gets what? 2 beats. And if a half note gets 2 beats, if I have 2 half notes, then I have 4 beats. So you got 1, 2, okay, half note, 3, 4. Half note, 2 beats, okay? Half note gets 2 beats, quarter note gets 1 beat. Let's do this one more time. Just one more time. The first measure, 4 quarter notes. Quarter note gets 1 beat, so that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4 beats. The second measure still have 4 beats because each half note gets 2 beats. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So each one of those measures will give me 4 beats. That's 4/4 time. Okay, 4/4 time. 4 beats in a measure. That bottom 4 says what? Each quarter note will get 1 beat. But the other values, your other note values, still remain the same as the quarter note. Your half note will get 2, your whole note will get 4, your eighth note will get half, your 16th note will get 1/16, all right? Now, that doesn't change. That won't change until you get to 6/8 time or 2/2 time, and we'll get to those in depth a little later. All right? So now, it's 4/4 time. You still got 4 beats in the measure. 4 beats here, 4 beats here. All right? Let's change it now. Let's change it to 2/2 time. I'm not 2/2, 2/4 time, all right? Let's change it to 2/4 time. 2/4 time. That bottom number says what? And that's a 2. Kind of almost looking like a 3 there, but it's a 2. Okay? We're in 2/4 time. Now, we need to change the rhythm up here. We need to change the rhythm in this measure. We need to change the rhythm in this measure. 2/4 time. That top 2 tells me that there's only going to be 2 beats in each one of those measures. Okay? There's only going to be 2 beats in each one of those measures. But the bottom 4 says what? That quarter note is still going to get 1 beat. So let's see. Let's make the difference now. All right, here we go. All right, so what I had to do was I had to eliminate a half note and I had to eliminate 2 quarter notes in order to get 2 measures. I mean, not 2 measures, but in order for me to get 2 beats in each one of these measures. So what I had to do was 2 quarter notes, 2 beats. 1, 2. 1 half note in this measure will give me 2 beats. 1, 2. Okay? So you got 2 beats in this measure, 2 beats in this measure. Your bottom 4, your quarter notes got 1 beat. Okay? Your quarter notes got 1 beat. Your half note still got 2 beats. Okay? So kind of refreshing. Well, those that have taken music theory before, I know this is kind of a refresher course for you. You've had this before, you're refreshing your memory on it. But for those of you who have never had music theory before, this is something that you're going to always have with you. Okay? The basic music theory, starting from the staff 5 lines, 4 spaces, all the way to this point, you're going to always have this with you. So that's why I keep repeating it, keep impressing it on you. You need to learn your basic music theory before we get into the more, I call it, heavier stuff, which is not that heavy once you got your basic music theory. All right. So one more time, in time signature, it says that the top number tells you how many beats in a measure. The bottom number, 4, in most of your common time signatures, tells you that the quarter note is only going to get 1 beat. Okay? Top number tells you how many beats in a measure. The 4 tells me that the quarter note is going to get 1 beat. All right, we're going to continue on with the rhythms in our next session. And remember, if you have any questions, send your questions to musicmadeeasy2020@gmail.com. That's musicmadeeasy2020@gmail.com. Send your questions in. If there's something I can't answer, believe me, I have somebody in here that can answer those questions before, because like I said, I'm not going to tell you that I know everything, because I don't. So I'll see you next time on Music Theory Made Easy. Remember, send those questions in, hit like, hit subscribe, ring the bell. I'll see you next time.